If schools and colleges could please stop telling children that if you use any part of AI, you will actually get negative marking. Instead of becoming only a user of AI, tell them to actually create with it. And do you know that for my first ever pizza delivery, I almost went to jail.
5,000 kids screaming their head off. Absolutely. You can't hear yourself think.
In my family, we upgrade our devices once in 4 years. What's the right age to give your children a smartphone?
Any advice to the family?
Yes, tech detox. I tell people very simply, do only one thing.
Welcome to Quizzitok. Here we meet people who make ideas move. Innovators, disruptors, authors, educators with stories that leave a mark. Expect to be surprised, challenged, and maybe even changed. Today's guest is a tech visionary, a TV anchor, and a quizmaster with a career that spans across tech journalism, modeling, and entrepreneurship. He's known for hosting popular shows like Gadget Guru, Cell Guru, and Tech Grandmasters in NDTV, and more. He's a man who's pioneered tech communication in India and is passionate about making technology simple and accessible for everyone. Please join me in welcoming Rajiv Makhni.
Great intro, Siddhartha. But I have to say, first of all, great idea. This entire idea, this platform, I think it's going to be game-changing. Second, I think you should have done this years back. Sitting and
I
talking.
take my lead from you now. The likes of you, Rajiv. And this is a way to get across, and really glad to be doing it. And thank you.
And I'm very happy to be here. Absolutely.
Delighted to have you with us. And let's start at the beginning, Rajiv.
Okay.
You're one of the leading tech content creators in the country. Where did it begin? Where did this engagement with tech begin?
So I have to say that I'm so glad that you used the word content creator and not influencer. I think that itself that word should be banned because it has, if I don't know whether people even understand, but that's a negative word. A person who influences others has always been a negative word, but it seems to be like, oh, I'm an influencer now. It's become like almost a calling card for anybody.
Yeah, it's an unworthy gong.
Yeah, so right. So I have started using a term called I'm an uninfluencer because anyway, most brands seem to say to me, and also a lot of people seem to say that you're the only one left who actually says, don't buy this. Even if it's a great product, it may not be right for so-and-so kind of person, right? So I call myself an uninfluencer if you go down that way. Content creator is absolutely right. And I think I would say that this content creator journey, only the platforms have changed. I continue to do exactly what I was doing before, whether it was for TV or for radio or write an article for a newspaper, which is where I started my whole journey, or for a magazine, or today on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or any of these others. I'm still doing exactly the same. People say, what an incredible pivot. I don't think so. I think it's just still storytelling. It's still trying to help people go through this minefield of too much technology, take the right decisions, because so many people now tell me that, listen, I saved up over 6 months to buy a product and you said this and I bought it. That level of responsibility is something I've been aware of for 20 years, right? And I think a lot of people are not aware that things that they throw out there very casually. I'm reviewing it, I'm unboxing it. Oh, बहुत अच्छा phone है. ये इसका camera best है. Those words will actually mean someone is making money and losing money. So very, very important. And I think the content creator journey started from the very fact that my passion for technology has been always there, because so much of tech is out there in the world right now. If you get jaded with it, it'll leave you behind in 1 second, right?
But I wanted to also go back to the beginnings. You were born in Amritsar, right?
Amritsar.
And that interest in tech, did it begin somewhere there in your childhood, in your youth, or was it much later when, just Obviously, because the education didn't necessarily lead you to
Yeah,
that
I mean,
direction.
I don't think the education led to this part of it. In fact, most parts have to be de-learned to do what I'm doing right now. But I think, yeah, I think the interesting thing is Amritsar didn't really contribute too much to my tech, only my food habits, right? I mean, again, reach out to everybody in Amritsar. It's by far the tastiest city in the world.
Ambarsarias all say that, and a lot of other people also say lovely food.
True. I mean, how you can walk in anywhere and get incredible hygienic, clean food from wonderful people. I think that leads to the experience.
Khanna is also
Vikas is actually, he and I are cousins, and we grew up
Wow.
also playing on the same street, right? Only to be separated and come back again years later. We completely lost touch, and we did a lot of work together. But
Amritsar was not to say that the tech necessarily began over there, but what I meant was in the sense of had it to do with early years, family.
absolutely. So, like I said, my mother told me that, and that's why I'm saying my content created journey came from there, because the first time I created content, I got trolled by my brother. So I'm going to explain this to you.
Please, what's the story?
So the story is very interesting. That I was around 3 years old. My brother was about 7, and my father went to Singapore and bought this beautiful transformer level robotic remote control car.
Wow.
Which at that time is like saying you got the PlayStation 10, forget 5, right?
Yeah.
It was a big deal. I mean, my brother was like the talk of town in that entire neighborhood. So
Robotic.
he's got this, right? And well, I must have played with him. My mother tells me that it was for his birthday. And the next day, which was his birthday, he went to school, and I was 3, so I didn't have to go to school at that time. And by the time he came back, I had opened the car. I was not interested in playing with it. I was interested in how is it doing what it's
What
doing.
makes it tick?
And like I said, not too many people liked that content I created, especially my brother. If you see my right hand side, it's a little bit swollen, right? It's been permanently like that since I got punched by him that day. I mean, it's the first ever true feedback I got from my content.
How much older than you was he?
About 4.5 years.
Oh boy, they're quite a sock.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm telling you, you can easily make out on that side. It always has been like that. But, I've always been curious about the how rather than what it is, right? What it can do for you is fine. How it does it is always making my mind tick, which is why all the content I started creating was to do with the consumer side of it. My first article I ever wrote was not to review the product, but to say, what will it do for you? Like, what is it that it'll help you with? Is it really worth it? And in this world we live in where everything is super hyped, every phone is a god phone, every laptop is the best ever made, the new vision glasses will do this for you. You're getting very less tech, a lot of hype. And I think a few people should be out there to tell you it really isn't that big a deal, not worth putting that kind of money into it. I think there is more hype in tech today than maybe in any other field.
Tell me, through your school days, college days, where did you pick up a lot of the things that you think was useful to you or just plain interesting that, gave you a foundational knowledge? What I would call general knowledge or enough of that. What were, and also I'd like to know who were some of your sort of, role models or mentor figures in that particular journey?
So, two-parter. The first part is that I consumed tech in a very strange manner. There was very less tech available at that point. Even content, right? There's no Gadget Guru show. There was no
Yes.
radio show on all of that. All you had were these magazines like PC World and PC Tech and
Yes.
everything else. Very dense magazines written by people who were on top of a platform speaking down to you, saying, listen, you don't know anything. A lot of jargon used, a lot of, acronyms were thrown out like almost as if alphabet soup within an article, right? But these were very expensive magazines because all
Yes.
out of the country. There was no publication in
Yeah,
the country.
I remember.
So I used to have this guy, and I think a lot of us, whenever I tell this story, I get so many comments back from people saying, I had a guy like that too. So obviously, the magazines that didn't sell at that time, they would tear the cover off and send it back and get reimbursed by whoever they were importing it from. What happens to the rest of the magazine? They used to be sold here at maybe 80% off. I used to have a guy who used to come to my house every month with 8 or 10 of these magazines saying, "Aap hi khareedte ho ye sab, no one else has any interest in it." So get it for 6 rupees. And at that time, it would be maybe $50 for that magazine, right? My entire journey started from those, I would say, pirated magazines. There's no other word for it, right? They never used to have a cover. So I never knew what was on the cover. You just consume it the way I would like it. So that was my first one, right? Very, very. And the second part that I have to tell you is that I would say my early journey of mentorship was negative.
Mm.
I learned from these magazines and from other tech content creators or whatever
Mm.
they were writing what not to write about. It was a reverse journey.
Yeah, absolutely. From what you said, this whole business of the kind of dense, jargon heavy, uber technical kind of stuff is not
It was
something.
written by engineers for engineers.
Absolutely.
And there was no consumer facing tech content at all.
And at that stage, of course, you didn't know that you'd end up
Not at all.
as a
It was
tech
just a personal
content
hobby.
creator or whatever it is, and so on and so forth. But going through those years, did your parents, family, any other members, did they play a role in?
I think my brother did. He's an engineer and an MBA.
Okay.
But again, from what I noticed when he actually he went to Punjab Engineering College, right?
Okay.
So again, a circle got completed for him. Born in Amritsar, but then for 4 years, we were in Guwahati in Assam, which is our roots become, my great-grandfather was a merchant in Burma. That's what it was called at that time.
All right.
And one of the richest people out there apparently used to get all the groceries and everything else from India, sold in Burma, one of the
Okay.
richest families there, thrown out when the Japanese invasion happened, actually came with whatever he had, started off as a laborer in a brick kiln, came to Calcutta, no work there, went to Assam, and started off as a laborer out there, he and his brothers, right? So very interesting journey for them. So eventually he went on to own brick kiln. So we were, my family, as you used to call it, bhatta owners, right?
Okay.
That's the family thing out there. So my father was working with him, and I was born in Amritsar because my mother went back to her hometown.
Right.
For my first 4 years, I was in Assam.
Okay.
And then my father said that this may not be the future to create just bricks, and came down to Delhi. So I think in terms of that whole journey, I think one major inspiration for me has always been my great grandfather.
Of course, because I mean to reinvent himself and to reconstruct his life.
Absolutely. And I sometimes wonder if any of us, forget the younger generation, people who are watching it, the hardships are that much easier right now. I mean, they have totally many hardships. We tend to dismiss those, but real physical hardships, economical hardships of that kind, I think those lessons are incredible. To be one of the richest men in the country and then to be working as a laborer and still have the will to say one day I'll own this brick kiln. I think these are very interesting journeys. So for me, he was fantastic. Both my great grandfather, my grandfather, my father, they've all gone through this hardship and everything else. So I think that's a very interesting journey.
I think some of your entrepreneurship comes from there.
Absolutely.
And I remember we used to have an office in Kailash Colony, working out of a basement, and I think you had an enterprise over there which you used. Slice of Italy.
Slice of it.
Rajiv used to turn out pizzas which would be home delivered.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, and the first home delivery for pizzas in India. And a lot of people were very surprised because they would ask me, I can think of so many things that are very easy to deliver. Pizza is the worst product to deliver because there was no concept of it. It was there abroad, but there's no concept of it here in India. And do you know that for my first ever pizza delivery, I almost went to jail? Another story, I'll tell you this in the shortest way possible, because the very young gentleman who ordered, somebody's, grandson who ordered, must have been 12 or 13, because they ordered not knowing if this is true or not, it's a scam. When the pizza came to them, the grandfather or grandmother reported it to the cops, saying that, look, I think there's something wrong. इसमें कुछ दवाई डाल दिया होगा. हम उनको हमारा घर का एड्रेस मिल गया. I mean, that was the kind of privacy problems they were having then, and no one seems to have any now, right? घर का एड्रेस पता चल गया. हम लोग को poison वाला, sleeping pill वाला pizza भेज दिया. So I got the first pizza ever sent out. I had cops at Shapur Jat, where I started from, right? And I was like, I explained to them, and I was like, listen, this is legitimate business. So my first ever pizza led me to a cop call, right? So yes, Slice of Italy started because I spent some time in the US and worked with the pizza, a very mom and pop operation, but that is how I kept my pocket money and some of my finances going, learned how to spin a pizza.
Yeah, because Rajiv, incidentally, we knew of him from Slice of Italy, but also one of the first times I met him was for a kind of dance with our friend Pradeep Sarkar was doing, and he came over there, and we were trying to put together. He was being the choreographer, but he was also a model for the longest time. So that was one thing that out of after doing his school and an MBA, I think from Mexico, was that right?
No. In Monterrey.
Monterrey, I beg your pardon. Right.
Oh, Monterey. So that was something where I went in and did that. But all of this happened prior to. So the Slice of Italy happened after.
Yeah.
The modeling happened before.
Oh, it was happening.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I started off in school when I was about 16.
with the modeling.
With the
No, I was not talking necessarily about the starting, but what I meant was you used to still model.
Correct.
And he still does. He's gone back to,
I know this is a real
married somebody I knew before I met him because I used to do commentaries and voiceover and things for fashion shows. And Ruchi Malhotra was India, Asia Pacific.
Yes.
And Miss Asia Pacific runner-up too,
Absolutely.
as a matter of fact. And they got married after that. And they met during modeling days.
Yeah, in fact, one of my last shows was her first show. So we sometimes think, depending on how we feel about each other on that particular time, that imagine if we had missed out, that I had said no to that show, that she had not got selected for it. So we always think things are going very well between us. We're like, thank God we met. And it's not going well. Like, I wish I hadn't done that. Yeah, so it's very interesting that literally my last show, I did not want to do any more. I had got very well entrenched into what I was doing, and I was like, right, this is the last one, and it was her first. And whenever you have a conversation with Ruchitra about this, she will tell you the fact that I rejected her because I was also choreographing it. I was modeling it and I was choreographing it, and I was the one choosing the models. And all these new models were out there, and I rejected her the first time.
Aha.
So she holds that grudge
Because you wanted to keep her to yourself.
a little bit of so time at that time we had no idea ahead. Yeah, and I think so. Yes. I used a lot of AI.
The other way in which Rajiv and I have had an association is with quizzing.
Correct.
Because he hosted a couple of seasons of a show that we began called Tech Grandmasters. That was on a channel called Good Times, NDTV Good Times. And we had college students, school students, corporate people coming and competing.
It was one of the most interesting formats. Still today, I think that format is brilliant. It just created such a. I mean, even today, if I was to tell somebody that a school team playing against a college team, playing against a corporate team, I think it was so ahead of its time. It was such a, and other than maybe KBC, I think that show has won more awards for a quiz show than I think any other. I think the last count that I remember in those 2 to 3 years that we did that show was something like 60, 65 awards.
Is that right? This is news to me.
Really?
Nobody told me.
I will send you pictures of that. Oh, you'll be very surprised how many awards we won for that.
I'm sure because, we spent a lot of time, sort of configuring the format.
It was
And working together to make sure it happens. And this, of course, happened because Rajiv, for some time on NDTV, had been doing a show which was a big first, which was the Cell Guru and Gadget Guru.
Started with Gadget Guru.
Tell us about that. How did it get into media, and that tech, that big thing, that platform from everything else that you were doing before began, your association with media began with those shows, right?
So I was writing for newspapers and magazines, but that's mostly faceless, even though thankfully I had a column which had a tiny postage stamp picture next to it, right, saying Rajiv Makhni. But I got invited to the Gadget Guru show. Had just started. I think they'd done an episode or two. And the format was that they would call an expert every time to sit with Vikram Chandra, who was the host of that show. Very surprisingly, the producer of the show didn't tell me that, listen, when you sit with Vikram, agree to the things that he's saying because he's going to talk about tech and he's going to ask you. So just say, yeah, absolutely. He didn't tell me that. So he and I had a quite, tech leads me into a very different debate space, right?
I'm sure.
So I just went at him hook, line, and sinker. Said, what are you saying? And you're a tech show host? I mean, we have no future then. and a lot of other things, right? And
No joke.
and that I was told that maybe that show would never have made it on because maybe Vikram wasn't too thrilled with it, though he tells me always that never happened. But I have a feeling that it never would have gone on because he was very surprised at the amount of debate. But that went then, that tape at that time went to Pranoy Roy saying that, listen, something very interesting happened today, right? It almost became like a debate on tech, right? He saw it and he said, that's the format. Just get these two to sit and talk. Everything they review, let them have a little bit, to and fro. Everything happening in tech, if there's news, the debate will happen out there. And that became the Gadget Guru show. And you'll be very surprised to know I met him yesterday at an event, at a party. And we literally were, he was saying, for the first time, I think Vikram said, listen, I genuinely now have missed you. And I was like, listen, we just spoiled our relationship of almost 15, 16 years. You used emotion in our this thing. So we now decided that we should have a show called Gadget Guru again because Singham again has come.
Yes.
Gadget Guru again. And I think we'll get Vikram to play Ranveer Singh's role because we can get him into those printed suits and yeah, but that's how it started. So it started from a producer.
How dull it would have been if you just agreed with everything and said,
And that's what the show was at that
Bandwani, which is the Chhattisgarhi sort of, telling of the Mahabharat, they have the Hankars at the back.
Okay.
Hankars are the kind of choral. So, Tijan Bhai was the lead, and the Hankar's job was saying, how?
So they were the original yes men. Yes men.
Yes men, the original yes men. That's how the narrative goes on.
Yeah.
And who would have wanted that? So that's how the format came to that. It's really interesting.
And the fact that one video is something I have never seen again.
Yeah.
Never. No one has ever shown it to me till today. I have asked for it for so many years, and they keep saying everything is in the archive. Shockingly, so they have episode 1 and 2, which didn't feature me.
Yeah.
3, which featured me, right? And 4 onwards, I started hosting. They have 1, they have 2, they have 4. They don't have 3. Vikram Chandra, I know you have that tape. Okay, bring it out. It's okay. It's been years.
Look at that. Just look at that. Yeah, it's because you did Cell Guru and then subsequently Gadget Guru when we did the show for Good Times, which is an NDTV channel. So that's how you got involved with it. Doing quizzes, conducting quizzes. You've been conducting them for the longest time now, Maps, right? Tech Grandmasters was a start. And then we did the live shows for Hindustan Times, which our team worked with you to do them. That quiz carnival is something of its kind. These are, for the Hindustan Times, that it was called, I think, Inquisitive is what they call it, with PACE, which was their sort of junior Hindustan Times extension. At Talkatora grounds, 4,000-5,000 kids screaming their head off. Absolutely. You can't hear yourself think. What has your experience in live shows been like?
I still think that is... I used to call it the rock star show because not only did it make you feel that, the environment was exactly that. I mean,
like a rock show.
It was absolutely that and nothing but, right? You're totally right. 4,000-5,000 children in a stadium where I think the audio levels, and then we used to have prizes for the fact that who could make the most noise. Not literally because they used to come with their drums and all, because there used to be a contest for it, but they would use it all through.
Rajiv, that began for me in Kolkata. You know that, I did the show for a number of years till I said that, man, this needs young blood. I can't shuttle from Bombay because we were doing KBC and all sorts of other shows and so forth. So it was in Kolkata, and whoever was doing it at that particular hall in Calcutta, you can gather crowds for anything. And these this is one of the earliest years. I'm talking about way back in 89. The lady who ran the entire enterprise and had been doing it for years, and I was doing it the first time, when they came in, they were shouting and cheering and at each other, the school, so much that nothing would happen. And she would come into the center of the stage and say, shut up, quiet, don't go on any further, keep quiet. And so I told her, listen, leave it with me, let me handle it. Then I started, sort of slogan competitions. Still they were shouted out. So when it was about to happen at Talkatora, with a crowd like that and so on and so forth, I told Annapurna Sehgal, who was heading PACE at that point of time, that listen, work it. Let there be cheering, sort of banners, competitions. Let there be cheering competitions. Use that. And one did it for a number of years. And so by the time you came in, it was a well-cooked I call it a quiz carnival, but it was really a sort of rock show.
It was a rock show. There's no other term you can use for it. Just entering that stage, you know. I remember once, I think the third or fourth year that I did it, I actually got one of my people to put in a dB meter. When
The
you
sound.
actually start off out there, and it was equivalent to a jet plane taking off right next to the engine, some 110, 12 dB. And that is the sound that carried on for those 3 hours of that show. It was I think they should just bring that back, and you and me should do it once more. I did it for years, years.
I know, and it was fantastic. It was fantastic going, and you did a great job with it.
I really enjoyed that, and I think that. So, the two things that you've actually put together coincidentally are my two greatest learnings for doing any live show and any kind of quizzing. Tech Grandmasters was a master class by you, and I'm not saying it because you're sitting out there. I've said it on multiple public platforms that Siddhartha Basu is by far maybe the greatest quiz master ever. Not because of the way you only
A
conduct it.
coach. I think of myself as a
That's
coach.
what I'm saying. Not because of the way you only conduct it. It's also because how you can impart it further, right? I remember you asked me to come down to your studio for about 2 hours, and I was very reluctant to do it because, I thought I was the cat's whiskers. Like, listen, I do some of the best, highest awarded shows. I won TV Host of the Year 3 years in a row. What is he going to teach me about quizzing? In 2 hours, I was like a silenced lamb because the way you disrupted everything that I knew about how to speak, because quizzing is very, very different. It's not just you and the camera. There are
Interactivity
absolutely
is the key.
and everything before question and after is all interactive.
Yes.
You have to build up to the question,
Yes.
the question itself, the silence where you're waiting for the team, and after. There are stages to it. And you have to be super aware of every one of them. You made me aware of them. You made me do an exercise, and I have to tell all of you about this. He made me do an exercise where he got me to keep one hand on the head, other on the stomach. And for the first 5 minutes, I'm like, this is ridiculous. And I do it even today.
The different resonators of
And
different
how-
parts of the body, the voice, how you use it and modulate it.
How to use your mic when I'm going to be speaking a little bit lower, how to go closer. If I am going to get very excited, how to go further away, to use that bounce of all of those things, and how to keep an audience of 5,000 people. I have done this now in Dubai. I've done it in London. I do the armed forces quizzes. I do the Air Force quiz, where again you have 3,000 people out there, right? These are large audiences that are out there.
Huge.
And I thrive on it now. I completely thrive on it. So both in terms of my way of even anchoring and hosting has changed from this.
I noticed in one of the last events that you did, that the back and forth, the chat, that is something not all MCs do at all. As a master of ceremony, is not everybody. It's not one way. It's not passive.
Correct.
It's how you engage and figure out. I think Amitabh Bachchan has become a master of it.
Correct. Absolutely.
Because the way he engages also on TV with the one person, one camera is there's the third person in the conversation.
Absolutely. I
He
think
can relate to that.
I see a lot of what he's doing exactly the way you also spoke about it. So there's a lot of that. And I think he's also just absolutely the best. He's amazing.
Yeah, he's in a league of one, especially on television, and I think it's the international owners of the millionaire format. They acknowledge it. The Indian thing is a stands apart, and he as a host at 80, going on to 82.
And look at the longevity.
Sort of he's becoming. How should I say it? He puts in as much effort. This is the 16th year it's happening, though it's been on since the year 2000. He enjoys it, and he gives it that much effort, to prepare it. You've been a guest expert on KBC.
I have done, I think last count when I did that last year, I was told that I have now done approximately 40
As a guest expert.
As a guest expert.
And among various other times that you've been there, you've also been a Triguni, which was when a three of you together. as a guest expert, you were once on a role with, in that role with Shah Rukh, who was playing, I think, and I think we have a picture of that.
Yeah. There. And that picture, I have to tell everybody, it's a screenshot, must be sent to Shah Rukh. That picture was not sent to me by Sony or by any of you. It was sent to me by Shah Rukh.
Shah Rukh is a great guest to have because he thinks on his feet and he's very witty.
And why it also became interesting is because he also hosted before this.
Yes, absolutely.
He was the host of KBC.
Yeah.
Mr. Bachchan came back and he was invited back. So a lot of that conversation was about the fact that, listen, a host to host. And then Mr. Bachchan actually said, and we have another quiz show host who's the expert. So this is that picture.
Okay, wow.
That all three of us have actually been hosts to quiz shows. Right? So very interesting. This picture.
Absolutely. And you've also seen, like you just said, you've been on about 40 shows as a guest expert on KBC. And you've seen that happening. I'm going to ask you about what your perception, because those are not regular quizzes, and that's the appeal of the show. They are aam aadmi and aurat, and you can see their lives change in front of your eyes within the duration of a program. And one life that really changed, or rather lives that changed, where you were a Triguni, when for the first, and I think the only time it's ever been done, a pair of brothers won 7 crores.
Absolutely.
The Narula brothers.
You were a guest. There they are.
There's the Narula brothers right in front. Mr. Bachchan, of course.
And the 3 guest experts.
Priyamvada, who's been mastermind champion. And Rajesh Joshi, who was won a huge quiz title.
Yeah.
But that must have been something. And I think it was on the penultimate question, you helped them get a question, right? He asked for a lifeline from the Trigunis and you advised them. And I remember you came down and did a bhangra with it.
No, I said, I'm going to give you the answer. And then, and if you will do, and they absolutely, they had no idea about it. So that I'll give you the answer if you promise that you'll do a bhangra when you win it. And then we came down and we did the bhangra, including Mr. Bachchan, who also promised that he'll be part of it. It was celebration anyway. It was
a wonderful celebration.
But I have to tell you, there is a aftermath to it.
Okay. Oh.
And that is that I got a call from the 2 brothers' mother saying कि 7 करोड़ तो जीत गए हैं, लेकिन 7 करोड़ से ज़्यादा तो हमारे को marriage proposals मिलते हैं कि that happens, yeah. And when you talk about life changing, that's the life changer.
Yeah.
They became not minor celebrities. They were, from within their whole social space, they were the Amitabh Bachchan and Shah Rukh Khan of the neighborhood, the family, this thing. They went on to create history. I hope they're happily married to out of the 7 crore, they rejected 6 crore, 99 lakhs, something. But the 2 girls that got married, I hope they're really, really happy because they had more choice than any other man known to mankind.
No, absolutely. I don't know. I'm not in, one is not in touch and one doesn't know, but I know that their family was in pretty dire straits.
Very.
So apart from marriage, it made a big difference to them. That's happened to a lot of people and figured it out.
Usually what would happen is that I find that the Trigudi format led to more confusion than anything. It is a great format. 3 minds.
It was only in 1 or 2 seasons.
Yeah, it was just, I think, a season.
Yeah,
I remember.
Possibly.
Just a season. Because there used to be conflict. I did Triguni, I think, 3 times in that season. There sometimes was conflict out there. Now, which
you have to come to a right decision.
You have to give one. And now someone's, literally like life-changing, someone's life almost depends on... Now, 2 of us are very sure.
And one is not.
And therefore,
what we point out is a lifeline is never a guaranteed. The format doesn't say it's a guarantee, but the audience could be right, they could be wrong. The expert could be right, could be wrong. Finally, it's the contestant who has to make up their mind. It's their foundational basic knowledge to figure whether it's right or not. However, they've come to assume that there is a certainty that they will be, but they're cautioned. And Mr. Bachchan reminds them all the time.
I know. But it is one of the greatest things that you have to grapple at that time. They come to you, their expressions are so earnest. They are very sure कि देखो मेरे को नहीं आता है लेकिन expert हैं, उनको तो पक्का ही पता होगा, right? So they come with you with a great amount of confidence. They are very hopeful. They've used this lifeline, almost certain that they will move to the next one.
Yeah.
And if you are unsure, if I am 60% sure and 40% unsure, what do I do at that time? I think it becomes a huge debate within your own mind. Do I give them the wrong answer? Then you kind of say, look, I think it is. But I'm not
Exactly.
But when I'm 100% sure, then I'm a very different person.
Of course.
Then I always ask them that, listen, I'm doing this for you, now you'll be doing this for me. Like there used to be a guy whose video has gone on to have I think on just WhatsApp forwards, it has about 17, 18 million forwards, where this guy used to come up with very interesting jokes. So I said, listen, I know the answer. I'm going to give you the right answer, but I want a joke on tech. Okay. And after he got it right, he came up with that joke, and that joke is one of the biggest forwards on WhatsApp till date. It was a crazy joke. It scandalized Mr. Bachchan, one of the biggest forwards ever.
At this juncture, we'll put you on the spot.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
You're talking about questions. We're talking about the hot seat. Now, you're going to turn the focus on you
Okay.
with a bunch of rapid-fire questions, which we call speed shots. Rajiv Makhni, are you ready?
Rajiv Makhni is ready.
We'll start your time now. Who's your favorite model?
Ruchitra Malhotra.
Your wife. Your favorite fashion designer?
Oh, tough one. I'm going to get into a lot of trouble. Currently, Ashish Soni.
If you'd been an actor, which is a role you would have definitely want to play?
Al Pacino. Scarface.
Any role in sort of Hindi movies that you think you'd like to play?
Actually, quite a few, but the one that I'm going to go with right now, again, I think I just love that entire thing. I think Amitabh Bachchan in Dawn, the first one.
Which was something else.
It's a movie that still does things for me.
Which post or video of yours has had the highest views?
When I asked the country not to buy EVs in India.
What kind of numbers are we talking about?
You're talking about 57 million views.
Smartwatch or traditional watch, and why?
Traditional watch because it has personality. Today, a 700 rupee smartwatch and a 70,000 rupee smartwatch both look the same, and it really doesn't do that much for you.
What's the one gadget you can't live without?
My Wi-Fi router. Without that, all other gadgets fail.
Absolutely, and a very good one. Very good answer. What's the most underrated tech gadget of 2024?
Folding phones, because I think they will completely revolutionize the world in the next 2 years.
Why so?
Because we're moving from a single fold to a triple fold, and when it goes to 4, which means it opens as a fan, but the fourth fold is this way. You move from a 4.5-inch screen to 16 inches. Makes almost phone, tablet, laptop, and almost TV all redundant. You're all having it in your pocket.
Apple or Android, and why?
Android now, because I think Apple has lost its edge. Just no innovation. It's more a marketing company than really an innovative gadget company. I hope they change it because they have more resources available to them than any other company in the world. And they're still doing small little changes. Just not worth it.
If you could design a gadget from scratch, what would you do?
I would actually do a hologram machine now. It'll change so many things, including making a smartphone completely redundant. Long conversation, but a true hologram machine, which means wherever I am, I could do what I'm doing with you in real time without really having the need to hold something next to me, have a conversation with people, and still be able to do it in a private space.
What's the weirdest tech gadget you've reviewed?
Toilet seats that can do 11 to 12 things. My experience in Japan is you need a rocket science degree to go to the bathroom. They have gone beyond insane. The fact that it can figure out who you are, does the toilet seat need to go up because you're a man, because they'll actually scan you quickly, or it needs to stay down. It is, it's beyond anything that I can think about.
All right, yeah. Which smartphone camera is currently the best in your opinion?
I think Samsung and Vivo completely and absolutely dominate the field. Yeah. Apple not even in the top 5 now.
Good advice on how to live your life from a tech guru. Lights out! For rapid fire questions and speech shots, we're talking to Rajiv Makhni, who's a tech content creator, communicator, and a whole lot of other things besides. But not many people know about Rajiv, the family man. Should we take a little time out for your family album?
My favorite.
Very quickly, to get to know what's around you and what that's all about. Let's go back to your parents, your mother. We have a picture of her there. Is that in Simla?
Wow, that's fantastic. It is. And it was one of her favorite trips. Of course, I wasn't born at that time. But whenever she saw this picture, she spoke about the fact that she had an absolute blast out there.
And tell me, what kind of role did she or
So I know,
influence did she have in your life?
I cannot emphasize enough about the fact that maybe the single greatest influence I've had in my life for multiple things. And one of the things that she used to always talk about is, and it's more relevant today than it was even at the time when she used to talk to me about it, was that she used to say that the single greatest myth is that one person can do two things together. She'd not heard of the famous term multitasking because it only became really famous to talk about it now. But if you really see, and to all the young people watching this right now, may I dispel the greatest myth because my mother also said the same thing. She used to give me an example, very simple example, a small little, that little fable that they say, that a man actually stood and took 10 steps in 10 different directions. Where did he go? And the answer is he stayed where he was, right? He never moved. Now, the same person took 10 steps in one direction. Where did he go? 10 steps forward. This used to be her story. And it is so relevant today because we all think we can multitask, and especially the new generation that is doing things right now. Have you seen the way they actually approach life? Which is headphones are on, they're listening to music, they have a phone that they're actually talking to people as well as communicating or maybe creating or doing whatever, consuming content on it while doing homework with the TV blaring at the back. Think about where that focus went. Now, we're all falling with this, oh, I can do it. But it is now being proven by multiple peer to peer reviews from, universities have done it, doctors have done it, psychologists have done it, hundreds of them that has proven that the human brain is different from all others only because you can focus.
You have to focus. Very, very important. That's a life lesson for people, and that's a lesson Rajiv's mother taught him.
I never ever try and do two things together. I always give a break between one to the other. And I see the quality of work that comes out from, I have this rule within my own organization. I don't want you to do two things together. And it is true. It makes a dramatic difference. What you can do singularly with, tunnel vision, focus is so different from what you'll be. And you could try it out. One day, shut off and take off that headphone. Don't have the TV blaring at the back.
Put your phone away.
Put your phone away and do that homework for half an hour. That quality of what you'll get will make you feel so good about yourself. Try it once.
And then we have the family, the big family picture with that's your dad, I guess. That's Ruchi in the picture, and your daughter as well, and a son. So
All my favorite people out there, they say that your life is the make or break of your life is the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with. That's the 5 people I spend my most amount of time with, and it actually makes a difference. From my mother, I have learned many, many things, including the fact that if you put your name on something, you should be very proud of it before it goes out. That was my mother. From my father, I have learned you can, we did a family challenge, and my son did this. I asked him, find any picture of your dadu in which he's not smiling. Any. Thousands. I said, start from the time when you have a picture of him and he was 8 or 10 years old to now when he's 90. Find me a single picture where he's not smiling. My father's been very clear about one thing, and that is it doesn't matter what you're going through right now. It isn't your future, and it did not affect your past. All that you need to do is just live in the current, and both your past and your future will get made on its own. It's a very big lesson, very small. He literally, at times I get irritated with my father, say, you're still laughing. I'm telling you about something very big as a problem. He says, but will it matter to you tomorrow? So why not enjoy it today?
fantastic. What about Ruchi?
I think Ruchi, is again one of these very rare people who gave up on a career. She is a Miss India, Asia Pacific, had 3 movies she had signed, but she gave it up for love. I don't know if it's the right or wrong decision. She's the better person. But it also tells you that, again, if you make up your mind and this is the life you want, and that's what you want to go with, she's again, a very happy human being. No regrets about anything. It's a very rare way that you actually put things together. And again, my daughter, single-minded focus.
What's her name?
Amaya. I
Okay.
think she's in NYU right now with Tish, which makes us very proud.
Tish is a great institute.
And out of the millions that actually apply out there, a very small percentage of 20, 30 people get in. So very proud that she's there. But the fact that she went from what we call over helicopter parenting to a life in New York, where
Independent
she does it
life.
all,
Yeah.
and she did, she struggled with the first 3 months, is a different human being today. But again, it's the focus. In ninth standard, she knew where she was going very, very clearly. And my son, I think, is going to be. I don't want to say that everybody in my family is so amazing. I'm only talking about maybe the one good or two good things. But again, from my son, the thing that I have learned again is he's a replica of his grandfather. He smiles through everything. Fantastic everything. It is quite incredible to see the way he's growing. And there are such huge differences. There is a 8-year gap between these two. It's like a 5-generation gap. It is. The generation coming out now is nothing like just the generation before that.
Yeah.
It is quite.
Gen Alpha is another thing altogether, and we were talking about it just now. I'm going to send you a set of knowledge.
I am looking forward to that. My son will be absolute. He takes knowledge and uses it like literally no other. He uses AI and generative AI as the starting block. It's never what he actually will submit anywhere. He starts it off. And I have to tell you one more thing that I think is very important. We're talking about family. We spoke about many, many other things out there. The part that I want to tell everybody in their family is that one of the single greatest problems we've become complete slaves to is the upgrade cycle, which brands lead us.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm coming up on this is that in my family, we upgrade our devices once in 4 years. And the reason I just remembered this is that,
That's fairly restrained.
but
People think that, because all the technology company push you to do every season.
every year, and they make you feel that if you don't, you're missing out. You're missing out on nothing. So, two pieces of buying advice, if I can go back to being tech guru, or
Absolutely.
whichever way,
Yeah.
is one, your phone has reached the kind of incredible technology maturity that what you have today and what you'll have 4 years from now, the difference will be about a percentage point or two. The camera may have a few more megapixels, but when you'll see that result, you will not be able to make out. I do this with so many people. I take an iPhone 11 and an iPhone 16 and I say which one is which and which took which picture. Literally no one can tell me, right? So it's so iterative.
So once every 4 years
once
would
every
be your
4
advice.
years, but I'm going to add something else. At the end of 4 years, don't buy the phone that just came out, buy the last one. So if the iPhone 20 has come out when your 4-year cycle is over, buy the iPhone 19 when the iPhone 20 comes out. You'll get it at 40% discount and you're still getting an absolutely great device. Don't buy the latest thing. There's nothing new or latest in it.
Very, very good advice. Any advice to the family to detox?
So I speak about this to so many people.
I'm talking about tech detox.
Yes, tech detox is, it's an important one. I used to earlier object to anybody asking me publicly. I used to say that, listen, if you think tech is toxic, then only can you detox. But now I actually agree that there is toxicity, but we built it on ourselves, right? So I only give one. All these other 5 things you can do, they're very difficult because that you have to break habits for this. This is a self-habit breaker. It literally instills it within. I tell people very simply, do only one thing. Have a single rule when you walk into your home, your phone, your laptop, or any other device cannot be charged in your bedroom. One is anyway very unhealthy for you. It's been proven that next to the brain, a separation of 2 meters is required, especially when you're charging, because the phone actually emits the most amount of
Radiation at that,
right?
Yeah.
And it's right next to your head.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying 2 meters. I'm saying much more than that. I'm saying whatever area, maybe next to the kitchen, small little lounge, TV room, anything, a room that is not being used, a small little corner somewhere, don't care where. Everybody must deposit there. Only chargers should be there. Put your phone and your laptop on charge there. 72 hours later, you will realize that your entire family life has changed. You'll have more time to talk because you're not constant. Every time there's something that you'd rather talk to your husband, between a husband and wife, what are you doing? You're scrolling. You're going through Instagram, which isn't leading to anything greater in your life, right? You'll start playing more games and they'll not be on your television. You'll start actually in talking about your day. You'll want to have meals with each other. The conversation and the experiential stuff will start doing. That addiction of always wanting to just pick up the phone the minute you have even a little spot of boredom completely goes away. And there's such an effort to go to your phone because you know you can't bring it to your bedroom, of going to your phone, checking and coming back. You finally start realizing 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, my phone time is over, my laptop time is over, and you'll be very shocked. The whole world does continue. It did not get destroyed because you did not reply to that message, to that email. The whole world survived without your answer to that message and that email. And people will immediately switch to after 7, he's not available, she's not available, he'll only be answering tomorrow morning. It changes your life.
Very interesting advice. So, everybody, what Rajiv from the inside is advising is that when you're charging, physically have it all in one place for the family, which is at some distance from you, so that you can do other things. That's the best way to detox from tech. Thanks. Thanks for that big hot tip. What we're going to find out now, as a person living in 2024, as a parent, as a citizen of the world and of India, how do we deal with so much technology changing all the time? And with AI, you have children. One of your children is 9 years old. What's your view, not just with the tech hat, but otherwise with what's happening out there?
So I think every single time there has been something very significant in the world of technology, it has always first started with fear, right? I mean, I've heard of this entire thing where one of the most feared things was actually cycles because people thought people would then go away from their villages and their community would get broken. Printing press led to people actually burning printing presses because they said, if you're going to print everything, then our brain will not work. So every time it's always been that. And I think AI, which may be the single greatest piece of technology ever, is also looked at in the same way. So the fear is that much more. Is it?
Yeah, my question is Luddites, the people who used to smash anything new in technology and all that. Because there's so much, are we going to have a return of some kind of Ludditism? Or
I think it's one of those things where this genie is out of the bottle and there is no going back. And therefore, let's be very clear that you can look back today and say, I wish I had the typewriter. You would be quite foolish to say that, right? I think 5 years from now, we look back and say, I wish there was no AI, and you look very foolish at that point, right? So I think it's very important to embrace this because I have a statement that I make to many young people, and that is that whatever you believe is the single greatest innovation from fire to the wheel to the internet, everything will pale into insignificance in front of what AI will do. Everything. All of them collectively put together will not be able to have the impact on this world as AI will. But having said that, something that has that much of impact, it is both negative and positive, right? Which means those people that will not embrace AI will, those that will be able to do 10x better, 10x faster, right?
oh, the speed is just
Right.
lightning speed.
But having said that, that means those that don't embrace it will be 10x back and 10x slower, which is never happened in the world of tech. If you knew how to type, you had a certain advantage. If you knew English, because most apps were in English, you had a certain advantage. Never was it a 10x, 100x, 1000x. Now it will. So, therefore, the only thing that I tell people is all the fears of AI come mainly from the books and science fiction, movies that we have, where it's always a very strange dystopian future to do with AI. It's almost always the entity that will take over. So, one part that I want to say is that in our lifetime, or anyone that is alive right now, their lifetime, AI will never become sentient. It is not going to happen. It is not going to have its own intelligence to the level that it will actually match. It will not have its own brain that will actually want to take over. The misuse of AI by humans may destroy us, AI on its own will not destroy us, right? So that's one part that is very important because we get
But even a simple thing like a knife, you can use it to cut veggies, but you will also kill people with it.
absolutely.
And that's the thing that we are talking
But
about.
that's with
How do you
all tech. That's with
exactly? But when you have something which is the equivalent of a, how should I say, hydrogen bomb to the power of whatever, and its
way
impact,
beyond, way
impact, do humans have the sort of wherewithal to be able to deal with it? In your view, what do you think?
One, yes, and second, you will have to. Now, sitting on the sidelines is no longer an option. When you say jobs will be taken away, they already are. And surprisingly enough,
Yeah, it can write code, it can do this, it can do that, it can do hundreds of other things super fast.
and sir, the most incredible part is when AI just started, they said robotics and AI will destroy the service industry, right? It'll be able to make coffee for you, so no one is required behind the counter. It'll make cars for you because robots and AI will be able to assemble it better than a human. But all other jobs, creative jobs and all, are very safe. But it's actually happened the exact opposite. It's the creative jobs, coding, animation, pictures,
Graphics, animations, creating
writing,
videos, movies,
writing books, articles, right?
everything.
It's all the creative. Lawyers are more at a threat right now than maybe anybody else because it's just about to come, right? That you can literally write, I can write an agreement to rent something 10 times better than any human lawyer.
And within
in 1
seconds,
second.
if you prompt it right,
You will and
just
you will
comes
get,
out.
and you will not have any mistakes in it.
Yeah.
Not one, right? Because that's how creative it is. But to have a robot make a coffee behind a counter at Starbucks, the investment on the robotics, the software, the precision, it never came. It still isn't there. It's a miracle to see it make a perfect cup of coffee rather than it becoming the de facto standard. So it didn't happen there. It happened in the creative part. This is exactly why you can't predict where AI will go from here. But will it disrupt? Already has. If you think it will, you already have been disrupted, right? So either you become the disrupted or the one that has been, disrupt everything. I would just say very, very simply that if we could all take away the fear, if schools and colleges could please stop telling children that if you use any part of AI, you will actually get negative marking. Uh, Teach them how to use it. A term that where no one would use.
I agree
Prompt
completely.
engineering. If you can, there used to be a question, and this is a good one even for parents because they ask me this same question even today. What's the right age to give your children a smartphone? It's a question I'm asked all the time. It is one of the biggest debates that happens in every family that has children who are 7 years old to 15 years old. Every day, that person has it. That person has it. Why don't I have a smartphone?
What's your recommendation?
Recommendation is there is no right age. All you do is that when you believe that there is no way that you can do it, just take one promise from them. Instead of consuming content, create the content. Then that smartphone is a tool. And if that promise, and I've seen so many families do it and actually say, that was incredible. My son is now able to do this. My daughter is able to do this. She creates her own video. Even if she may not have a social media account. She creates this kind of picture. She creates so and so. The same answer applies now to AI. Instead of becoming only a user of AI, tell them to actually create with it. And that is that you've got to understand that using, let's say, a chat GPT or any generative AI is not the same as putting in a prompt in Google to search. You will get terrible answers. That's not what it's built for. You've got to be able to use your imagination. You've got to be able to play some role. You've got to be able to tell the AI to play a role. What do you want? What do you not want? What's the final thing that you want? My son, 9, now 10, is able to use AI because I've told him play a role and I've given him many examples. See, if I put this 2 sentences, look at the results you get. And look, if I add one more at the end, look at the results. He plans our holidays so beautifully because his prompts are very clear that, he tells AI to be now a world renowned travel reviewer who is going to Japan for the 5th time and wants to avoid all tourist traps that he got into on the 4th time, even though he's never been. We did go right now. And he's then able to come and tell us, this is the stuff we'll waste our time with. Here's something so unusual that no one does it, right? So I think it's all about what and how you'll use AI. There is no such thing as life without AI for anybody of any age now. It doesn't matter. 70, 80, 7 or 8. AI will have an impact on you. It will create, it will take away. It's what you'll be able to grasp from it. But it is the single greatest piece of knowledge and available information that humans have ever had that comes to you in milliseconds. It has never happened before.
Which brings me to the next question. It's the human who has to use it, right? Because AI is, in a sense, a tool.
It is only a tool.
And it's the human who has to use it. It is the human who has to have the foundational knowledge, who has to have the discrimination, who has to have the skepticism and curiosity to use it right, and the judgment and the spine too, and the morality to be able to use it. So I'm going to ask you a question which we often asked: what's the point of study? What's the point of general knowledge in the age of Google and AI? What's your take on that?
So I think in the world that we live in, it's very important to pay attention to who you're paying attention to. It's a very important, the sentence may just sound like clever words, but if you go deeper into it, in a world of influencers, in a world of, like you said, Google search, AI, the amount of information you can now get is incredible. It's like, the digital exhaust that we have, that pipe just with AI, if it was Google search, if it was this thick, with social media, it became this thick. With AI, it has gone into maybe the size of this studio, right?
Absolutely. So the navigation
Yes.
is a big thing now. So what we are talking about with children particularly, how would you advise your son, people of that generation or whatever it is, not just AI, in terms of technology? What would be some of the guidelines that you may give?
So I'm going to actually do this in 3 quick sentences, right? The first is use AI. Don't be afraid of it. I am saying this to college principals and headmasters and teachers who are telling children not to use it. It's taking away your creativity. It's not your original idea.
Parents?
And that's section 2. At first, I'm telling those people who actually are afraid of this technology not to be. Encourage them, tell them to be original about it. What I tell my son is, this is a starting block. This will take you into a deep hole. Now, whether you get completely meshed into that deep hole and get addicted to it, or you take from this and then use that first and second query and then create your own, is the difference between those that will have incredible success and incredible failure. There is no in between now. I mean, mediocrity no longer will be able to survive in a world of AI.
So that's point number one.
It's very important that we do not discourage. Encourage, but encourage the originality, that this is a starting point. To parents, I think very, very important that you yourself, before your children, you should also get to be AI aware. I'm not saying it becomes the fundamental building block. It will for your children. It doesn't have to be a building block for you on a daily basis, but not having awareness and going with these, clickbait headline of AI will destroy the world. We are fed this all the time. It isn't going to happen. Become AI aware. It becomes very important. And third, and I think maybe the most important of all of these, and that is the dopamine economy that we started to now be survive in. AI will only make it worse. So
Dopamine, you mean the kind of buzz you get from so many likes and so many people recognizing you, and all of social media thrives on that.
everything, it isn't only about recognition for someone that has 1 million followers. It's comes down to even one person liking it. People post and then wait for the first like, the first comment, and the rush that they get. It is exactly the same as a dopamine hit, right? But this is a manufactured product that is actually set up for profit. That one like you are getting is converting to dollars for someone else. If that awareness comes in that this is a manufactured product that has only been made to give you, you get a senseless dopamine hit, but someone else is making incredible sums of money off you. If that awareness comes in, you'll be able to use AI for better, because AI is only going to make this much, much worse. The way it'll be able to take, if you are 100% addict to the dopamine economy and I'm 70, then you're already out there and AI will know, how do I get this 70%er to become a 100%er? How do I make sure that Instagram is used by a person who's using it only for 20 minutes and there's another who's 60 minutes? How do I get both of them to 2 hours a day? AI will make that happen. That's what you said, that red button. It isn't a giant button now in a steel suitcase that someone this thing.
It's
And
your finger on your button.
you yourself are pressing the red button every single day, multiple times a day. That red button has now been given to
So
all
it's
of
not only one big baboon sitting on top of everything.
and all.
And the red button is your
We
hand.
are the big,
You are the baboons.
we are the universal red button pressers that are doing it hundreds of times a day. Therefore, become the creator, not the consumer, and therefore become aware that every time you give in to this dopamine economy, it is, it's a depressingly familiar situation that we have right now. Every single thing to do with AI, if you see, okay, it's become a marketing term. Companies use it. IPO se pehle, we have brought in so much AI. A car company, we have brought in AI into our car. It can now do this for you. A company that was called something which had nothing, is a construction company I know now that came out as an IPO. They changed their company name to something. I won't take the name of it. It is the name of their family's last name, and it was called Construction Limited, became family name AI Construction Limited. What does it have to do with AI? What did you bring into construction at that point? But the IPO got oversubscribed by some 11 or 12 times. And they were not even thinking that they would get even a 1x, right? AI has become the magic buzzword. Like the small initial with iPhone and iPad, and everything became I at one time. Now AI has become the buzzword, but it's a marketing term. 99% of all AI is not true AI. It's still just the same old machine learning that has been there for 20, 30 years. So it's not true AI. So distinguishing between real AI versus the fake AI, important. Using it for the fact that you are aware of it and it becomes your starting block and not your ending block, very, very important. But again, let me re-emphasize this. Ignoring it is going to be the single greatest problem that you will go through right now.
Rajiv, usually our last section on Quizzitok is what's the buzz? Asking our guest what's happening in their world, what's happening at the world around us, for young children out there, or whatever it is. I think you answered what's the buzz. The buzz has a name, and it's AI.
Yes, absolutely.
It's been an absolute delight talking with Rajiv Makhni. From his entrepreneurial days to shaping the future of tech media, his journey is a testament to the power of curiosity, passion, and constant reinvention. Rajiv, your ability to simplify complex text for audiences and your pursuit of excellence and staying up top of change is truly inspiring. And I hope, especially the young people watching out there, will take many leaves out of your book. But thank you for sharing your insights with us today. We are sure our listeners are walking away with a renewed sense of curiosity and inspiration and how to get on top of AI. There it is. It's been a hell of a ride talking to tech to mastering quizzes with Rajiv Makhni. His journey shows us that curiosity isn't just a spark, it's the fuel that keeps us moving forward. His story isn't just about innovation, it's about making the complex feel simple and the impossible feel possible. So what's the takeaway? If I can sum it up in my words, knowledge is power, but only when it's shared, simplified, and put to good use.
Yes.
To creative use, right? So, to everybody listening or watching, I'd say stay hungry, keep learning, and always, always question the world around you with the right questions, because the right questions lead to the right answers. Join us next time, and until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and always stay learning. Till we meet again.